I was going to say we don't specialise in formalities at CFL, and that's pretty obvious. Obviously, in putting that together, it's taken a lot of effort to try and fit everything in there. So much we have achieved over the last 30 years had to be edited out and hit the floor before it was able to get out to you. So it's my opportunity to finally get the microphone back again and fill in some of those gaps. When I think of the very early days of CFL, Communications Fiji Limited, I sometimes think back and think that naivety can be a blessing. Because if you don't know trouble is coming, you don't know how hard the job is going to be, courage comes kind of easy. You really don't know what you're letting yourself in for. And in those days, as a young man and leading a young team, we didn't know what we were letting ourselves in for. And I have to plead guilty in those days to a considerable amount of youthful arrogance. Matt Wilson, my co-founder, described me, and only Matt would describe you in this manner, as a bumptious youth. I'm not sure what bumptious means, but only Matt could decipher that. But I think it describes a young guy who really thinks he knows a hell of a lot more than he really does. And that pretty much sums me up in 1985. But those were amazing times, and there's been a lot of reminiscing going on this evening as we all recall the very early days of FM96 and the kind of relationships that we had in those times. Tough times. Times that have really forged the culture of CFL. We understood very early that if we didn't survive, if we didn't fight to survive, we were gone. We had no safety net, no government subsidies. We were competing against state-owned operations, and we needed to get out there, use our wits and our talents, and make it happen. And that has been very much the core of CFL right from those days. Tonight, I want to start by paying tribute to 4 people. And I know I could add to that list considerably. Many of you are here today. And I do apologize if, from those early days, I took advantage of your good nature. I'm sure I did in those days. And I was very grateful to so many people who helped us during that early time. But I want to focus on 4 people in particular from those 80s. The first is my late mother, Susan Parkinson. I am now the parent of 2 20-somethings, and I can flash back regularly and think, my mother's patience with me at 23, threatening to invest a meager inheritance in this radio station that all her friends said were going to fail. Her patience and the way in which she stood by me and the organisation for so many years during those early days was, words cannot describe. I've also been blessed with a second amazing woman in my life. She was the first official employee of Communications Fiji Limited. You can see I had an eye for talent right from the beginning. Sufi, and this is news for some of you because some of you don't know this, but Sufi was our first copywriter and later became sales director. And in the days post-1987, we just all had to do everything. But she has shared the ups and the downs, and the triumphs and the tragedies over the last 30 years with me, and I couldn't have done it without her. Her love and her support has been my foundation. So, now that we've established I can go home tonight, let me move on to the other 2 people. Matt Wilson and Harry Punja. I cannot believe still to this day, that they took me seriously. This young guy who wandered into originally Matt's office and said, I want to start a radio station. And in those days, post-colonial days in Fiji, but Matt stood by me, and he still stands by me to this day. And his support, his guidance has been just, once again, difficult for me to quantify. Unfortunately, Matt can't be with us tonight, and he did ask me to read out a message sent all the way from his home now in Waterloo. So can I read this out to you, otherwise I'll be in terrible trouble with Matt. So can I just quickly quote from him? I wanted very much to be at the celebrations, but unfortunately it's not possible for me to be there. It's been a momentous journey for CFL, from its extraordinary beginnings, its evolution into a Pacific-wide enterprise. We must retain our focus now on the future and all the exciting possibilities it offers. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I extend sincere thanks to all who have played a part in making CFL what it is today. Harry Punja, Matt persuaded to join our little band of pioneers shortly after getting a license. Once again, I'm still astonished that he did. But for a young man starting out in Fiji, starting out in business, you could not have asked for a better mentor than Harry Punja. And once again, the support, the guidance, and everything that I've learned from him has really been a foundation of what I've achieved. And I want to pay tribute to Harry. It's a great shame that he is no longer a shareholder in CFL due to reasons beyond his control. But we continue a great friendship, and he means a tremendous amount to me. The 1980s really meant one thing for CFL: survival. We learned how to survive in very, very difficult times. But as we mentioned in the video, in 1989 we launched Radio Naftara, and that is still our most profitable Fijian station. And that embarked us on a journey of growth. Starting out as a very young leader, I clung initially to traditional notions of top-down management. The boss is the boss. He needs a big car. I remember buying a big car very early on. I remember selling it shortly afterwards when I realized I couldn't afford it. It was one of the first lessons. But as I said, fairly early on I realized that CFL couldn't grow if I was going to micromanage everything. I wasn't, and if I was going to exploit and use all the talents and the energies of all these fantastic people who were around me, I needed to find a new way of running things. And so was born a culture at CFL, a culture of ownership, one in which we encourage team members to feel that they own the product. And we do it in a variety of ways, and I don't have time to go through all the details. But proof of the success of that culture is the fact that tonight we have about 25 people in the room, leaders from CFL, currently leading our CFL team. Combined, they have between them 450 years of experience running CFL. Yeah, I need a bigger round of applause than that, because these are the heroes of Communications Fiji Limited. I might add that after 20 years in PMG, I haven't added them into the list because there's a considerable amount of years of experience there as well. No other media organization in the Pacific has that depth of experience and knowledge. And as I said, they are the ones who drive CFL forward. And to be honest, nowadays, I'm just sitting in the back seat enjoying the ride and being continually astonished at what they achieve. At this point, I'd like to pay tribute to one more person, and that is Ian Jackson. Now, Ian hates the spotlight. I'm sure he's hiding out the back there by that yellow bucket. regret. But Ian has been working with me for 20 years, just on 20 years, as General Manager of our Fiji operations. And I want to thank you, Ian, for your support, putting up with me and my grand ideas, and making sure it happens. And that is what Ian is best at. And his leadership has been truly inspirational. Now, great radio is all about theatre of the mind. It's about tapping into your imagination. And I don't want to reveal too much of what goes on backstage as far as radio stations are concerned. But I'll be honest and say, well, I think this is no news to you. We are a very commercially driven organisation. We're proud of it. We understand where the money comes from and we go after it aggressively. We run our organisations with a careful eye on the bottom line and how we spend our money, which is the reason you should drink up tonight. Because you're going to get too many or more of these opportunities. But in addition to that, at the heart of all great media organisations, it's not just about selling advertising. It's about building audiences and building relationships with listeners and building intense relationships with listeners. It's the great strength of radio. No other media can do that. Radio can build those relationships. And over the last 30 years, we have built an intensely loyal audience. It's why we get the results we do. And it doesn't happen by accident. It's something that we work on every day. It's about being there in the good days, when Bob Marley composes a song to celebrate the Sevens victory. And it's about being there in the bad days, when we have listeners calling us from their rooftops in Nandi, surrounded by floodwaters, calling for help, and we're broadcasting those cries. That's what CFL is all about. It's about building that relationship with our audiences, building that loyalty, and then going to many of you here tonight as advertisers and saying, we can send a message to those people, we can come, we can deliver results. It's what we do every day. I want to thank you all for your support over the last 30 years. Many of you have been there from the beginning in different forms. But I don't want to, I think I've said enough, in the sense that radio is about a new day. Every day is a new day as far as radio is concerned. We can't carry the past into the future. We start everything afresh every morning. And so too have we got to start to think about the future for CFL. We understand that the media landscape internationally is changing dramatically. And we're building skills within the team so that we can do more and more on different media platforms, build material that is not only audio-based but video-based as well, work more and more online in partnership with what we're doing in radio. And of course, as an organisation, we're looking at opportunities both here and in Papua New Guinea. We are also in the cinema business and developing new opportunities there as well. So we will continue to grow, you can be sure of that. And the next 30 years, I'm not going to be around for the next 30 years, but anyway, for the foreseeable future, I can assure you that they're going to be exciting ones. Now at this point, I want to invite our veterans who are here tonight, those who have worked with the organisation for more than 20 years, for 10 years, and some more than 20 years. In fact, before we raise them, as they get out there, they've got something special for you, and they're going to come around and circulate. Of the veterans, I want to highlight 3, in fact, who have spent more than 20 years working with the organisation. The first one is actually the longest serving person in the organisation is actually Satyana, who has worked for us for 26 years. Started out as a telecom technician in the days you still had the plugs in them. And the next is Doris Southwick, who's hiding in the centre there. You all know Doris, who spent 23 years with us. Little secret, she was 5 when she joined the organisation. And I also want to pay tribute to Mate Sama in particular as well, who's also a veteran of 23 years with the organisation. Anyway, I'd like to invite the team at this point to come round and share with you a little memento from this evening. Enjoy. I think you find it is very appropriate. And thank you for coming. Thank you for your support. Anaka Wagale.
This is you and fire, and we shall all burn together. Watch the flames climb high into the night, calling out, Father, stand by.